It was like not even direct.
And listening to yourself, not doing what other people expect.
Leader, and then you act you just acted in that moment. Hi everybody, my name is Leanne Martins and welcome back to Changemakers. Today I am so excited to talk to somebody that I've been following for a long time in the Edmonton community. His name is Bobby T, and you may know him already and have heard him as just Bobby T. So welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you because I've been able to get to know you through time. And what I see you as is you are a videographer, you own a Best Version Me.
Yeah, our Version Me Media. Meet Version Me Media is the handle, but it's a marketing agency called Version Me Media.
Version Me Media.
Yes.
And you also are a Black leader and a Black community advocate, and that's a big piece that I see in the work that you do and that you produce. So I want to find out just more about you and why are you doing what you're doing. So tell me a little bit more about why Black community advocacy.
Yeah, so it comes out of twofolds. The main one is I'm a Black man. Growing up here in the city, being born and raised, I was fortunate enough to grow up with like two major organizations. One was the National Black Coalition of Canada, which is NBCC, and another one's called the Jamaica Association of Northern Alberta.
And I've seen you've done lots of work.
Yes.
As I was researching you, you were volunteering with the Jamaica Association.
Yes.
And you're on the board.
And I'm currently a board member.
Okay.
So through those two organizations, I was blessed and fortunate to understand my identity.
So important.
It's everything.
So important.
Everything.
You see how white I am? That's legit. Like, so I'm half Jamaican, half Bayesian, and the other half is white German. But I was raised in a white family, looking Black.
Yes.
I don't have any connection to my ethnic background or roots at all, and it's critical.
And you know what? So my wife, similar. So her father was white and her mother was Jamaican, and she struggled growing up because she grew up in a small town in BC.
I did too. Yeah.
Clearwater.
In the interior BC.
So
it's called on the cusp.
Okay. So she grew up in Clearwater. And she struggled with her identity too, and it wasn't until she came to Edmonton where she was able to kind of see other people that look like her, engage with sort of some of the same challenges they had. And so I realized at an early age, identity is not only important, but it is essential because it's how we're perceived. It's how we look in the world.
And it's also how we believe. That's my own personal identity. What's my value? And I think that tracing it back to your roots is critically important. If you can't see yourself in the culture around you, you're trying to find out who am I? And especially if the messages that you've got are that I'm not good enough. I can't see myself in positions of power, right?
Being part of my Black community, actively trying to pursue engaging people, and also the process of educating, just telling my own lived experiences.
Tell me more about leadership in the Black community, because you are standing up as a leader. You are. You've got your own podcast. You've got your company, I think, in and of itself is a leader in our community because you're speaking very specifically to the Black culture and the Black community, and with Melanistic Magazine. That's a big deal.
No, thank you.
That's a big deal. So if I didn't mention, co-founder of Melanistic Magazine, which is really important, and what you actually say, which I love this, life in Black, our community, our voice. And that's literally in bold on the front of the magazine.
100%.
So to me, that's very clear. You're stating something very clearly with that.
Totally.
I love.
And you know, the punchline is we live in a time that is amazing. Because of technology, we can document, share our stories, and more importantly, be the voice that and really unpack what we're going through. To not take advantage of that, to not share those stories, share those insights, and then more importantly, connect with others who might be experiencing that same problem or might be, I think it's really a disconnect. It's a lost opportunity. And so whether it's Melanistic Magazine as a publication coming from a mindset of we'll tell our own stories, for us, by us. And all the way down to for my marketing agency, utilizing whether it's video content, social media to then really unpack and connect.
Tell me more about that. So what can you accomplish by yourself, and how does that differ from what you can accomplish with a group of people?
Totally. So you can accomplish as an individual a lot, but let's call it what it is. Not that much. There's a ceiling.
Agreed.
If you look at any major person that's successful, from the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's all the way down to just let's say the mayor of the city, they all have huge teams of individuals behind them, helping them kind of build up their capacity and helping them share their messages. So going alone is part of the process, but you cannot, you'll be forever put on a ceiling. You need to work with others, you need to work with communities, like physically and also mentally, to kind of prepare themselves.
Okay, so this is what I heard you say, and you tell me if I'm right. So my question was, what do you want to leave behind? And I think what you're saying is you want to empower more Black people to be in front of the lens and the camera.
Yes.
And if you do that, that's what the lighting and all that is about, so they feel comfortable, but you want to empower them to be in front of the camera, to be themselves, with their skin, with their hair, with their culture. And as more of us are represented in the digital mediums, in YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, and then your children and my children see more of us, yeah?
Nailed it right on its head.
Okay, so I want you to what would you tell other young leaders that are afraid, that are struggling, what would you say?
You're not alone. There's a lot of us, including myself, who's afraid.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to just understanding that's just part of the process. And to, if anything, embrace that fear, to allow yourself to understand that you're onto something, that you're actually doing something that might be meaningful, and to just pursue it.
100%. So I'm scared right now. I have anxiety all the time. My heart is beating, all of that. So guess what? I'm still filming, right? So is that part of the process?
It is the process.
It is the process.
It is the process. And I think some of us, sometimes we forget that, and we think it's not, because we see those people who have done, their reps, who've done those 100 episodes, that they're so natural and they're flowing, but like they didn't start off like that.
No,
they started off.
You gotta put the time in.
100%. You gotta put the effort in, you gotta put the reps in, and then over time, that's when you start to get more natural at it.
Hallelujah, brother. Okay, so one last question, just because I was on the Gary Vee when you got on.
Okay.
And I was like, what? So tell us a little bit about that Gary Vee, quickly if you can.
Yeah. So I was first put on Gary Vee in terms of the show was tease Gary Vee during that COVID kind of stance. And
so you called in. It was a call-in show.
Yes, and it was amazing. I was able to ask like kind of 2 questions.
I remember, and you were ballsy.
Yeah.
Like that was the opportunity. They say when opportunity knocks, what do you do?
So what do you have to lose?
Right?
And so I remember my heart was pounding.
Yes, totally.
Every second I was like, okay, he might cut me off like this.
Yeah.
And then on to the next person.
Quick,
he's
right?
quick. So I was like, quite anxious, and like as he was talking, I was partly paying attention, but I was like,
I want to say my thing. I want to say my thing.
Totally. And so the last little clip I had was I knew he was coming into the city here in Edmonton eventually to do a keynote, and so my last little right hook I asked him was like, hey, if you're in the city, can I do a podcast? Can I interview you? And then he was like, 80% yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was a whole other process after that of how I was able to kind of land that, but it was a great experience. Great insights. And
what did you learn? What's your key takeaway from that experience? You were afraid, heart was beating. This is the point. This is the point, people. And you acted in spite of fear, like major panic, and he did it anyway. What did you learn?
I learned that you have to take a shot. That's the punchline. You gotta take a shot. You gotta give it a chance, because what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Like really, what do you have to lose?
Nothing.
And
you would have said no, so what?
Move on. Keep going. Or the question is, what happens if he said yes?
And he did.
And he did.
So what did you learn from the experience though? So I love that's the learn,
Yeah.
but like in the moment with interviewing him, having him sit down, seeing how his crew worked, how quick he was, how efficient he was, what did you learn? That's a high, that's like top 1% of the human population.
100%.
So what's he doing that we're not?
So that's what's interesting.
Right.
What I learned is that he's just another human being.
Oh, you didn't.
When he was one-on-one with him, it was just myself, him, and his right-hand man, D-Rock. And I was shocked at how chill he was. I was shocked at how just it wasn't as like made up in my head as it would have been. And he was just a normal person. He was chill, he was nice. He introduced himself as if I didn't know who he was.
Did he look like super highly productive? Like
Nope.
Stop it.
He was just very keen and specific, and he actually, I really had his attention. There was no distractions. He wasn't thinking about some other stuff. It was just a one-on-one conversation, and I lost sight of that because, to be honest, I'm a nobody. And if he could give me his respect to just sit down, chat, and not worry about.
Especially at the level that he is.
And I could just imagine what was going on in his world.
Yeah,
it just shows that then, well, why can't I do that?
Yes! I want to leave on that
Yeah.
note. Why can't I do that? Oh, so I asked, I said, what would you tell other aspiring leaders, right? That aren't where you're at right now, they're just starting, or they are, and they're just coming across stumbling blocks. You said act in spite of fear, and, right, be where you're at.
100%. And be comfortable of just moving forward of whatever you're at.
I'm afraid. That means I'm a failure, I can't do it. That means, what are they gonna think? That means, oh shit, I have no idea. Or your parents don't believe in you, or your family doesn't believe in you, or all the shit. Act in spite. So, thank you so much, Bobby T.
Hey, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
So much fun. This is why I do what I do. So, change makers, follow Bobby T if you guys are looking for inspiration. So we got YouTube at Just Bobby T, Instagram Just Bobby T, and I've got your podcast at Recording Color.
Recording Color, yeah. And that's coming out later this year, probably in the end of November.
Well, we'll work with the content he's got. He's got more than enough. So stay tuned for our next episode.